Good morning, everyone. Welcome on this first Monday, November 2nd of November, to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Lenny, thank you for a great kickoff to our Monday. I don't know about the weather where you are, but the weather where I am is absolutely fallish. It's bright, sunny. Woke up this morning, temperatures in the 30s here in North Carolina. It is one beautiful day. And we're going to spend today talking NFL. Lenny spent the 9 o'clock hour talking MLB. We're going to talk NFL for the time I'm with you today. So pull up a chair, pour that second or third cup of coffee, and let's give it a look-see and see what's going on. For those of you who have, look, I've gotten calls in the last, I don't know, put down a little bit. I've gotten calls in the last few weeks, people listening to the show or watching it on Facebook. And I don't know if Dennis Stevenson's out there this morning, but good morning to Dennis. And I hope that you're enjoying the show. And I hope you've got some good news for me on some closings that I'm hoping that will come up in the next few days as well once this show is over. We're going to go through some of the games from yesterday. First of all, my beloved Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, yes, we go to Cleveland yesterday in just the most beautiful of conditions. It's like 35 degrees, a howling 40-mile-per-hour wind, snow and rain, and all kinds of mess. And the Raiders, commitment to excellence, just win, baby. Beat the Brownies. The Raiders improved to 4-3. The Brownies fall to 5-3. And that AFC is just a beast league this year. I mean, you got the Chiefs and the Raiders out west, who both look like playoff teams. You've got the Steelers and the Ravens. What a game they played yesterday. You've got the Dolphins and the Bills. You've got, I mean, the Colts, and the Browns are 5-3. I mean, there's so many teams vying for those playoff spots. We'll talk about more of those. But statistically wise, yesterday, only one touchdown in the game. The rest were field goals. And you should have seen that ball hook from right to left as they kicked it. It was crazy. Josh Jacobs, though, had one of the better games today. Yesterday, 31 attempts, 128 yards, 4.1 yards per carry, no touchdowns, but he was such a bell cow in that backfield yesterday for the Raiders. Incredible. They got 208 yards on the ground yesterday. Derek Carr only threw 24 times, 15 completions for 112 yards. But the Raiders ran the ball. The offensive line controlled things. So what an outing for their O-line yesterday. And I think that's the thing in fantasy that we may not look at quite enough is the performance of offensive lines. The offensive lines on these teams, there's a real reason why I say take Dallas, who lost to the Eagles last night, 21-9. Not a great game for either side, but when you look at Dallas and Ezekiel Elliott, he has scored under 10 fantasy points the last 3 weeks. And you can say, well, Dak Prescott's not there. True, that's going to hurt the team as a whole. But the problem in Dallas with the running game, I can attribute some of it to Dak being out and a focus more on Zeke. But the offensive line, you only have last night one of the starters of 5 on that O-line. And when your offensive line is injured to that extent, you're just not going to be successful and perform well. You're just not. So that's what we had last night as we start our day looking at the Raiders and the Browns. Other games were played yesterday other than my beloved Raiders. Yes, they were. So we're going to take a look at some more games. My phone is going crazy here this morning, I tell you. Well, the Falcons and Panthers played Thursday. How about that Steelers-Ravens games yesterday? The Steelers improved to 7-0. They beat the Ravens yesterday, 28-24. It was a back and forth kind of game. Pittsburgh is 7-0, the second time in team history. The last time they were 7-0 was 1978, their Super Bowl 13 season. The Steelers looked good in a lot of ways yesterday. If you look at the statistics from yesterday, looking at the Steelers, Roethlisberger, only 182 yards. Yesterday was not these Midwestern, Northeastern games. The winds were howling. Not a great passing day for quarterbacks. But James Conner did get a touchdown. He rushed 15 times, only 47 yards on the ground. The Steelers were really out statistically played by the Ravens. But Lamar Jackson, inconsistent, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a 50-yard touchdown run called back. He did throw 2 picks. What I think you get out of that game yesterday is the emergence of rookie J.K. Dobbins at running back. It was said before the game that the Steelers would stop the run. Well, no. Baltimore ran for 265 yards yesterday. Dobbins 113. Edwards had 87. Lamar Jackson 65. It was a great rushing day against what had been a great defense against the run. Passing-wise, the number 1 receiver yesterday for Baltimore, let's do a drum roll here, Willie Snead. Willie Snead, 5 receptions, 106 yards, and the last pass of the game that could have won it had he caught it, but he was thrown into triple coverage, basically, was intended for Willie Snead. The Ravens got 208 yards through the air. So they were right at that 475-yard mark for the game. But nonetheless, the Steelers rose to the occasion when they had to. It wasn't statistically a pretty game for Pittsburgh, but it was a win nonetheless on the road in Baltimore. The Steelers 28, the Ravens 24. Steelers improve again to 7-0, and the Ravens are now at 5-2. Did you watch the Vikings and the Packers or catch any of that game yesterday? The Vikings improved to 2-5. They went over Green Bay 28-22. It was the Dalvin Cook show yesterday. Dalvin Cook rushed 30 times. He had 163 yards rushing, 3 rushing touchdowns. He caught 2 balls for 63 yards and had another passing touchdown. Not a great day for the Viking wide receivers. Adam Thielen, 3 catches, 27 yards. Justin Jefferson, 3 catches, 26 yards. But again, like I said, it's the Dalvin Cook show. And the Packers, Aaron Rodgers threw for 291, 3 touchdowns. Jamal Williams, again, Aaron Jones out again yesterday. Jamal Williams rushed 16 times for 75 yards, a 4.7 average. And great game for both teams, but Minnesota improving to 2-5. The Packers falling to 5-2. It was a game that I really thought the Packers would win, but just didn't happen. Minnesota goes into Lambeau Field and wins. That's news, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. I'll tell you some more news. I don't know how many of you thought the Rams would take care of the Dolphins yesterday, but it was the other way around. The Dolphins improved to 4-3. The Rams fall to 5-3. Boy, the parity in the NFL is great. The Dolphins win 28-17, and they did it in a number of ways. A fumble recovery returned 90-some yards for a touchdown, an interception return for a touchdown. They did it through the air on a touchdown pass. They did it on the ground. It was just a variety of ways to score. And I think what comes out of this game for the Rams, look, first of all, Jared Goff threw for 355 yards, but only 1 touchdown pass, 2 interceptions. During the game, Darrell Henderson, their number 1 running back, gets injured after carrying the ball 8 times for 47 yards. And Cam Akers, the rookie who has just not been heard from hardly at all this year, comes in, rushes 9 times for 35 yards. Now, the Rams have a bye week in week 9 this coming week. So I don't know if we'll see more or less Cam Akers in week 10, given that now Darrell Henderson has week 9 bye week to recover. Passing-wise, Cooper Kupp woke up from the dead, 11 receptions, 110 yards, no touchdowns. Robert Woods, 7 catches for 85 yards and a touch. So again, the Dolphins 28, the Rams 17. Chiefs, they make mice meat over the Jets yesterday, 35-9. Not a lot of stats here. The Chiefs improved to 7-1. But I do want to let you know Patrick Mahomes, he's back, 31 completions, 416 yards, and that's right, 5 touchdown passes on the day for Patrick Mahomes. So a great effort. Kansas City beating the Jets. The Jets are now 0-8. How many of you guys are big Colts running back statistical fans? You know, if you have a player named Jonathan Taylor, a first-round draft pick, probably drafted in most fantasy leagues between rounds 1 and 3, and he has probably been one of the more disappointing regular running backs in the NFL this year. Well, yesterday was a crash down to earth moment for Jonathan Taylor. Carried the ball 11 times, 22 yards rushing. He was replaced by Jordan Wilkins, who rushed 20 times for 89 yards and a touchdown. And Nyheim Hines came in on third down work, caught 3 balls for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's Nyheim Hines, the former Wolfpack North Carolina State great. It looks like the role of Jonathan Taylor starting yesterday is being made de minimis. And Jordan Wilkins may be a player to pick up on the waiver wire going forward. Owned in only 1% of Yahoo leagues before yesterday. Wilkins also caught a ball for 20-some yards. The Colts beat the Lions in Indianapolis, 41-21. The Colts improved to 5-2, and the Lions are now 3-4. For the Lions, statistically, I've been keeping my eye on the running back situation there. And yesterday, not a good day for DeAndre Swift at all. If you started DeAndre Swift, you are sorely disappointed this morning. 6 carries, only 1 yard. Well, it didn't get much better for Adrian Peterson. 5 carries, 7 yards. They threw the ball a ton. Matthew Stafford, 336 yards and through the air for 3 touchdowns. Wasn't enough. 41-21, the Colts over the Lions. Big upset yesterday. Titans have now lost 2 in a row. They started the year 5-0. That AFC South, they were beaten by the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday, who improved to 5-1. The Bengals 31, the Tennessee Titans 20. And statistically wise, for the Titans, Tannehill threw for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry rushed for 112 yards and a touchdown. And for the Bengals, big day for the Bengals yesterday for a former North Carolina Tar Heel, Giovanni Bernard. He rushed 15 times for 62 yards and a rushing touchdown. He also caught 3 balls for 16 yards and a receiving touchdown. He has really come on in the filling in the gap for the injured starter there. If Giovanni Bernard is available, he's a player to pick up. Anytime someone has a foot injury and they're a running back, I'm concerned. And Bernard, frankly, the last 2 weeks, he's been a running back 1 in any league that you might play in. So now they have a bye week this week. Well, it remains to be seen what Bernard's role might be after the next week. However, they have a really nice schedule coming up after the bye week, where if Bernard is in lineup, he's going to get you some points, and it's worth keeping an eye on. If you can stash him away, he's a player to really grab and stash away. Bills stranglehold on that AFC East. They beat the Patriots yesterday, 24-21. A late fumble by Cam Newton is the doomsday for the Patriots. Patriots fall to 2-5. The Bills are now 6-2. And looking at the Bills, a big thing yesterday that happened was the splits in carries between Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Both had 14 carries. Singletary had 86 yards. Moss had 81 yards rushing. It has truly become a split situation in Buffalo, with both players performing yesterday at an exemplary level. Singletary averaged 6.1 yards per carry. Zach Moss averaged 5.8 yards per carry. So what does all this mean in fantasy? Well, I think it shows there are a few players, if you can trade and get, they're worth getting. Zach Moss is one of those. He's trending up. He's getting more carries. And I know yesterday it was an equal number with Singletary, but 50% share is more than it has been. Okay. We also talked about Giovanni Bernard and the effect he's had since entering the lineup. If you are a Derrick Henry owner, for example, I'm using him, it could be any running back, and you're at the bottom of the standings, you might could pick up a couple of good players for a player like Henry, or a player, again, looking at your position in the standings. If you got, let's say, I'm making this up, Ezekiel Elliott. Let's say, and I know he's having a tough year, but if you could trade Henry for Ezekiel Elliott and another player, like let's say the San Diego quarterback, if you're hurting at quarterback, you may lose in one area some, but you're going to gain more with the quarterback possibly. So you look at your overall effect on your team making trades. Now, if you're a first place team, second place team in a league, you're looking for that one player, and you may trade 2 for 1 to get that one player. So trades can be fair from either perspective. It's just a matter of where you are in your standings and how that affects you going forward. Let's look at a few more games before we get out of here today. The Chargers and Broncos, great game in Denver yesterday. Chargers just cannot win a game late, can they? The Broncos score with just seconds left on the clock. They win 31-30. The Broncos are now 3-4. The Chargers are 2-5. But when we look at the statistics of the Chargers and Justin Herbert, wow, 29 completions, 278 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He also rushed for 21 yards. Herbert is a top 5 quarterback right now in fantasy, and I certainly endorse him all the way. Saints Bears last night, Saints 23 in overtime over the Bears 26-23. Saints are now 5-2. Bears are now 5-3. From a fantasy standpoint, Kamara is king. Okay, absolutely, Kamara is king. What did he do yesterday? Well, he rushed 12 times for 67 yards, 5.6 yards per carry. He caught 9 balls for 96 yards. He is just a consistent carrier, a consistent catcher, and he's a player that you've got to have and look to have on your fantasy teams every week. Finally, I want to talk about the Seattle-San Francisco game from yesterday. The 49ers 37, Seahawks 37, 49ers 27. Once again, a great game for 2 players for Seattle. It seems like one week it's one wide receiver, the next week it's a different one. Well, yesterday for the Seahawks, Russell Wilson again, 4 touchdown passes, 261 yards through the air. And his main receiver yesterday, DK Metcalf. Last week it was Tyler Lockett. If you remember last week, Tyler Lockett had one of the top 20 scores among wide receivers in the history of fantasy football. Yesterday it was DK Metcalf's turn. 12 catches, 161 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Lockett quiet yesterday, 4 catches, only 33. The Russell Wilson, if he is not MVP this year, somebody is really not thinking about their votes seriously enough. He looks incredible. They are giving him total freelance with that offense, and it's just going to be so much fun watching him go down the stretch to see how he performs. A question that we all had about yesterday's game for the 49ers was their running attack. Well, JaMycal Hasty looks like will be the number 1 back this coming Thursday on Thursday Night Football. Tevin Coleman started yesterday, rushed 3 times for 20 yards, but re-injured that knee. So chances are he will not play Thursday night. Mostert is out. It looks like by default it's going to be JaMycal Hasty at the starting position, and we'll see how well he does given that opportunity on Thursday night. Jerick McKinnon, still the pass catching back, caught 4 for 40 yards yesterday. But it boils down to JaMychal Hasty. The 49ers have had such bad luck at running back this year. And again, they play the Thursday night game this week, short turnaround before they're back on the field. That's a look at some of the games yesterday. Cowboys, Eagles last night. Eagles win 23-9. Cowboys fall to 2-6. Eagles are now 3-4-1, and they're in first place in NFC East. Carson Wentz did not look good at all. Now, he's got some good receivers, but he's not making good choices. I was really impressed by how much improved it appears the Dallas defense is as a unit. Stephon Diggs' brother, intercepts 2 balls, but the intensity is better. Now, the result's the same, but the intensity is better, and we'll see how they perform next week, coming off the 23-9 Sunday night loss to the Eagles. Tonight is the Bucs, Tampa Bay, and the New York Giants. Go Blue. I think Tampa Bay will own this game from start to finish. I don't expect this to be much of a contest. The Tampa Bay rush defense is incredible. I know a lot of people have picked up Wayne Gallman in fantasy, but I don't look for Gallman to be that successful running the ball. I frankly don't have that much confidence in Daniel Jones throwing the ball against this defense. Tampa Bay's defense is a swarming defense. And I just look for Brady to have a great night. Next week, they'll be getting Antonio Brown back. It'll be interesting to see what the Tampa Bay Bucs do with that running back position tonight between Fournette and Ronald Jones. I think it's Fournette's job here out. I think he'll get more touches than Ronald Jones, but I'm not discounting Ronald Jones being a fantasy player going forward. We'll see. That game's at 8:15 tonight. I hope you guys have a great day. It's wonderful to be with you on a Monday. We'll be talking more football. We'll look at fantasy winners and losers tomorrow morning, who was great, who was not, and look forward to getting some of your questions as we go throughout the week. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning right here on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Until then, everyone, have a great day.